Hello, freshmen of the Academies of Dearborn. My name is Linda Tam, and I'm a research administrator with the Clinical Trials Support Office at the University of Michigan Medical School. I had hoped to be joining you in person with some of the members of my team, actually, and it would have been an amazing presentation. But now that we're all virtual, I'll just record this video instead. And I wanted to start with a little clip of describing clinical trials and then run through some slides that I had prepared to explain a little bit more about clinical trials, the team that makes up a clinical trial and the life cycle of a clinical trial, and then end with me specifically, my experience and why I do what I do. And hopefully you guys can get something from it. Screen here. So I work at the University of Michigan Medical School, and I'm a research administrator. And I hope to be joined by three of my colleagues, a principal investigator, a doctor, and then two study coordinators, but we are all virtual now. So I'll show this video.
Our clinical trial support team partners with clinical researchers, helping facilitate the hundreds of trials that are going on at Michigan Medicine at any given time. So collectively, we touch on a number of areas that our research staff and faculty need to successfully run their research operation.
Being a clinical investigator at the University of Michigan is such an honor, and one of the things that we do is provide hope for patients. Patients come to the University of Michigan not only for the top-notch care that we provide, but also for access to investigational trials. Many of our patients have advanced diseases or have limited options in the community, and they come here for hope. They come here wanting more. Everywhere from a contract being negotiated to an IRB being approved to the post-award work being done to reimburse for the procedures. All of that matters to the patient, and it all is for their benefit.
That gives a little bit of an overview and had some key players. The person speaking was Dr. Valerie McLaughlin. She's one of the investigators, so she's the doctor. And then the other people you saw in the background were people that I work with, study coordinators, other research administrators, and the clips are actually filmed within the hospital. So that's really the hospital setting where I work. So clinical research essentially is a study of health and illness in people. And it's broken down broadly into two categories: observational studies and then clinical trials. So an observational study is where you just observe. There are no experiments or tests, and you're just trying to understand a situation and come up with a hypothesis that you can test. So an example is you have two groups of children under the age of 5. One group we call the exposed group, and they ate fruit snacks every day. And then you have an unexposed group that did not eat fruit snacks. And then over time, you compare the incidence of cavities once they reach the age of 10. So that would be an example of an observational study. The flip side of that is a clinical trial. And in clinical trials, you're actually testing an intervention. So you're coming in with a treatment. It might be a new drug, a new surgical procedure, or a device, or a new way to use existing treatments. And you're testing if those things, those interventions that you're doing can improve the quality of life for people. So an example is, again, you have two treatment groups. Treatment A is they have a fluoride rinse at a dentist each year, and treatment B is just a water rinse at the dentist each year. Both groups, though, are eating fruit snacks every day. And then over time, you're, again, comparing the incidence of cavities at age 10 and seeing if the differences in the treatment resulted in a difference in the incidence of cavities. So that's kind of in a nutshell what a observational study and then a clinical trial is. And then I wanted to talk briefly about the clinical trial team. And so at the center, and really this is the core of everything that we do, is the patient. We're looking to improve the lives of patients, improve their health, and so they're really at the center of this image. The main people that are involved in clinical trials are the principal investigator, so that's the doctor, the research nurses who take temperatures, actually see the patient in clinic, and then also the study coordinators who also see the patients, but they are more on the side of logistics, so scheduling the patient to come in and making sure that we see them at every single time point that we need to. So in the case of the example with the fruit snacks, it's making sure that they're going to the dentist every year to have that treatment. Study coordinator would also order all the labs, or make sure that the treatment is being is standard across all the patients, so that the data that you collect is good data. And then there are a whole bunch of people that assist, so other doctors, pharmacists who change the dosage of a drug depending on the patient that is being seen. Different scientists and statisticians that will interpret the data, accountants and billing, which is what I do, and then lawyers and the regulatory board, which kind of makes sure that everything's ethical and the contracts are protecting both the patients and also the hospital, and in some cases the sponsors if there's sort of an industry or an outside third-party sponsor. So these are all the people that come in to a clinical trial, and not everyone is seen by the patients. So in my role as a research administrator, I don't see any patients, but I interact closely with the PI, the doctor running the study, and also the study coordinators. So life cycle of a clinical trial, you've really got an idea, starts with an idea, and then you build a team from that. The team is the doctor primarily, and then any other maybe doctors who are working on similar research at the beginning stages, and you write a paper. So this is where you outline what your hypothesis is going to be, what you're trying to test. And then you try and get money for this study, and then you assemble your team again. And in this stage, after you've received funding, you're looking to add, the study coordinators that are and the nurses that will actually be seeing patients, and also the sort of behind the scenes people like me doing the accounting. And it's a little bit hard to see, but on this clipboard is an informed consent, and that is a really important piece of paperwork for anyone signing up to a clinical trial, and it really just outlines in plain English what is being studied, and it makes sure that the patient is aware of any potential benefits, but also any potential side effects. Oftentimes these drugs are new drugs that haven't really been tested, and so there could be adverse effects that we can't predict, and so the patient really needs to be aware of these. So we have an informed consent form, and then this is where the patient is seen by the doctor. They come in for each year, or it might be each week, and they receive the drug, or they are observed over time, and then from that we get a bunch of data that we can analyze. We can say, this patient received the drug and this patient didn't receive the drug, and this is how their results differed. And then hopefully, if everything goes well and the results say that you have a fantastic drug that helps patients immensely, and it's safe, then you'll receive FDA approval and that drug can go to market. And in the meantime, you've kind of helped the patient that was suffering. And this is just a little graphic of the different phases of a clinical trial. So it starts with the studies in the lab, and then you move to studying them in animals. And then phase 0 is where you start testing in actual humans. And there are 4 different phases of human testing. And really most trials will not get past phase 0. There are many, many trials that don't even make it out of the lab. So for a trial to get to a phase 3, it's fairly safe, fairly low risk. It's been able to get through all the prior phases, and it's essentially ready for testing within a large sample size. So really a little bit about me then. What I do the budgeting and the contracting and the finances for the clinical trials. It's all the administrative stuff behind the scenes. And why I do what I do, it's so I can use my administrative skills to help people. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, and I can do spreadsheets and I can do numbers. And so for me, being able to apply those skills to help benefit patients and help other people is really why I do what I do. In terms of education, I graduated high school and then actually went on to do a gap year between high school and university, and then graduated with a bachelor's of economics. And in terms of entry-level requirements and salary, the most recent job descriptions that we've had in our office say they require a bachelor degree or an equivalent combination of education and work experience. And then the salary bands for a research administrator somewhere between $47,000 and $88,000 annually. The key skills needed in my job: attention to detail, being good with numbers, basic math concepts, and Excel. And then my favorite subjects in high school were math and economics. I had some really fantastic math and economics teachers throughout my high school. And to be honest, I didn't know what I wanted to do as a freshman, and would say, even now, don't 100% know, like, this is my calling, this is what I want to do forever. What I do know is that I want to have a bigger meaning, some level of purpose that is beyond me. And so I choose to work at the moment in clinical trials where I can use my finance skills to help people that way. My job prior to this was a finance manager with a nonprofit called Global Citizen. And I think same idea there. I spent most of my day looking at spreadsheets and doing calculations and building financial reports, which can be draining. It can be, boring. But at the end of the day, I could step back and say that I was helping, contributing to, something, a purpose that was bigger than myself. So that's really the reason that I choose various jobs, and I know that will be a big reason in the next job that I choose, is that ability to help others. So that is me in a nutshell. I would, take questions if we were in person, but we don't have that opportunity here. But I will share my email address, and if anyone is interested in getting in touch, please reach out. I'd love to connect. So my email is litam@umich.edu. So litam@umich.edu. I hope this was beneficial and you were able to learn something. And if it could be of any help, please reach out.